iframes, and then I don't know how it works. You just kind of run into them, and then you phase through them. But I'm not exactly sure how the Super Metroid science works behind them. But it is very finicky. I'll tell you that much.
Yes. So one thing I gotta say is I think Scott's attic wasn't super clean here, and did take some additional hits. So, with the extra E-Tank, I assume he's going to probably be okay. I don't know the status of his current. Oh, misses that kind of jump. That's the problem where if you're spin jumping in the air, it's a lot easier if you break your spin at some point, because when you're wiggling in the air during the spin jump, you start kind of like, the physics are different than if you have your spin broken. So it's definitely a lot easier with the spin broken. So as you can see, Scott, oh, nice little super on the ground right there, the running super. But yeah, wasn't able to get that first grab on the sky missiles. But yeah, okay, so we're going to see Razon do some cleanup in Bryn. A lot of these rooms can get a little bit complicated, but we're going to have to see phatscott also kind of get through the gauntlet spark as well. So let's see if he goes for the robot flush. If he's not going for X Vectors on Phantoon, that makes me believe, yes, and with this charge right now, he's going to try going for the robot flush. If this goes poorly, we don't have the sound effects, but I'm not really sure about those two. The good thing is he didn't take that much damage, so he's going to be fine. I think that's just, yeah, you really just don't want to like take like, because you could easily just like stumble, like you jump and you have no horizontal speed, and then you land and you take like 5 hits here, and then you're just refilling at the ship. Like that could easily happen, but Scott should be fine here. All right, Razon trying to get through here. This room really sucks when the deboosts don't go the way that you want it to.
Yeah, falling in the pit, and your iframes aren't as long as you'd like them to be. So you usually end up taking another hit when you're on the bottom, and it just leaves them more time. But
all right, so Scott flushing that second robot. So yeah, I call that a wash between these two players. Razon got the first one, wasn't able to get the second, and Scott gets the second one, and it doesn't get the first. So it's a wash between these two right there.
And with their combined powers,
they get that full robot flush.
Doing a nice little power bomb and then sparking to the missile here, and that's gonna just barely be the power bomb is just barely in the right position to break both those blocks there.
Yep, exactly. Nice. Yeah, the power bomb. If anyone is casual wondering, first of all, let's see this Mission Impossible. That looks good for Razon. If anyone's wondering like why you kind of lay that power bomb in that specific spot, it does two things. It opens the door, it breaks the blocks to get into this room that they're just in, but also this wave gate door is a yellow door that Razon's about to enter, and this is opened and turns blue, so that's why it has to be placed specifically in that spot. Oh, a little hiccup right there, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, so I don't know the status of Scott's reserves, so he's gonna have to go through the same issue here.
I think he's full because he did do one of the, because he did miss the spark, so he did do like an extra farm there. Okay. And then he also did a farm coming into Croc, so I think he's fine.
Got it, okay. So Razon getting lined up. This is not exactly pixel perfect, but very finicky. Oh, Scott, gotta be a little careful, even with that full reserve. Don't really want to be dipping that much below 220-ish or so. So.
Another reason you would want to keep Spazer on is that it makes that shot much easier. He has much less than I thought.
Oh god, is he going for it? Is he gonna go for it? Okay, so we gotta pray here, because there's a chance he's not gonna make it all the way, and he doesn't want to be grabbed by Yapping Maw.
Oh, he's fine.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, just grab that help. Okay. Oh, careful, Scott. Okay, so this power bomb will break all the blocks. Now the last Yapping Maw on the bottom left is what he has to avoid. Okay, yeah, that's the scary one. And here we go. Scott's going for it.
Oh, what do you win for?
Oh, just to say, I don't really get the backup. The backup is like impossible. If you can get the backup, I'd be more impressed. Here we go. Okay. Good try, Scott. Good try, Scott. The backup to the spark is like very, very difficult. You have to get a very, very clean quick drop, and it's like a 3-frame window at most. So if you do everything perfectly, so it's way harder than getting the actual strat itself, even though the first strat is just difficult. Look at those quick drops.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh my gosh. I could hear Kevnastic's voice.
Yeah, I would be horrified doing that, but I'm way too scared of falling through on one side.
Yeah, I could hear, you know, I know Kevnastics has done comms before, and I think specifically with Scott too, and I know he was like borderline about to have a heart attack from the quick drops there. Yeah, you fall all the way through and you don't make it back up, then game over. Like, you're gonna lose like a minute or so right there. It's really, really bad.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to have to go through Gauntlet twice. That is...
Oh,
that
absolutely not.
Yikes.
All right.
But, yeah, now phatscott is going to be making his way to do his Brinstar cleanup as Razon makes their way down to Viridia.
Yep. Yeah. So from this point on, you're going to mostly see Scott trailing Razon. I do believe Razon is ahead at this point.
I would assume so, yeah.
Razon is actually playing pretty darn well. Scott, I know, has made some mistakes that he's probably not quite happy with, but the thing is, it's not as nearly as bad as you might think, only because Scott has done that croc early, so Razon is going to have to go back and finish that up, so it's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, so we won't really get to see the difference here until X-Ray, which is like at the very end of the run.
Right, so nice little spark at the bottom for Razon. And is going to go ahead up. Try to get that moonfall. The inputs can be a little tricky sometimes and doesn't quite get it.
You also, and you just saw some pretty good deboosts through the... What is that room called? The before the Edicoons? I don't know, but you saw some good deboosts there, and then we lay the power bomb there to clear a sound cue, which makes that door transition just a little bit faster.
Yep, exactly. It's not something that you'd necessarily expect, but the noises that the little fanfares that those little Edicoons are singing all the time, they actually end up causing lag in the door. So if you just lay that power bomb, it completely overwrites them, and it's the same thing that can happen in Amphitheater. I don't know if either of these players will do that, but you can lay a power bomb there to save some frames as well. Oh, Razon not quite getting that jump at the very end. Is gonna have to wait for this fish.
Yeah, that's a very tight jump. We are basically racing the fish in that room. We do not want to have to wait for him.
Okay, looks like Scott is also going to get this Mission Impossible. When you see Samus kind of like staring at that bomb right there, all you have to do is just hold right and jump to buffer that jump out of from that position, and you'll be fine. So the hard part is just making sure you get that quick drop correctly.
Yeah. The main part of that strat is just getting the quick drop through the crumble block. Because then after that, you can just, like you said, you can just buffer your jump and right input, and then just jump when you go inside the crumble block. Yep.
Now this is the kind of the spot right after these rooms. These rooms are pretty tough. I think because the spiny is still up, Razon's gonna have to do a very tight short charge here. Not quite. Okay, so yeah, you gotta get a short charge to break that spiny. Depending on some patterns, you might not have to do that. So there is a strat here that Razon opted not to go for, where you do a really short little morph to get into the small hole there, but it's quite difficult. Oh, this room can get bad. Okay, nice. That room with the little flying birds can get pretty bad if it doesn't go your way.
Yeah, those guys are jerks.
Yeah, they just keep knocking you down. All right, so at this point on, Razon's going to head back down and is going to be heading over to the Dragon. I suspect this is going to be one of, at least up until coming back to the Batoon hallway, this is going to be very comfortable for Razon. The reason I say that is because Razon is an active PRKD runner as of right now, is still working on that PRKD, playing Hundo for this tournament, I believe. So that being the case, like everything from this point, like right here-ish, once you get down to the bottom of Pre-Aqueduct, is very similar to any percent. Both KPDR and PRKD. So the only difference is that you don't collect the Batoon you take until later. So this should be very comfortable for Razon.
Yeah, and we're sitting at a ton of supers right now. It's a very, very good amount.
Yep, 22 supers. We'll see how many of those get thrown into Ridley later on.
Yeah, I don't... You can opt to do, I think it depends on this pattern, but you can do 2 X Factors here, saving some supers, but... yeah, it looks like we're just going to use 1 X Factor and then 6 supers.
Yep.
Very good, very standard. Clean fight.
Yep. 1x 6 supers is kind of like the traditional way to go about it. The top pattern, you can do a 2x. The other patterns, 2x's exist for them, but they're kind of a significant time loss, I think. Whereas the top pattern will lose maybe like half a second to a second, depending on your strategy there. But yeah, Razon, nice full halfie from Razon. Everything here looking real good so far. One little difference, you have to stand a little further from the door here, and that's because you're going for these precious missiles. That's one of the small differences between Hundo and the 90% routes. Meanwhile, we have Fat Scott going over to enter Meridia as well. All right, so coming up, we got Dragon. Dragon is definitely when it goes well, it's like, all right, it's like a sigh of relief. But when Dragon goes wrong, Dragon goes really wrong.
Oh yeah.
Between chain damage, like hiking a bit bad.
Yeah,
we're gonna see a good setup here. All right, here we go. So we're gonna see, stand, jump, and then 4 particles right into the belly. That's really good.
That looked like a very good opener.
Oh no, the goop. Okay, that was kind of a goop scam. Unfortunately with that pattern, sometimes you have to start your short charge earlier so you don't have the room. Razon kind of
the goop.
Yeah, Razon tried to predict there, but please no chain damage. Oh, I think Razon was scared. I don't know if I think the angle was a conservative approach. Okay, Razon doesn't. I think Razon is aware of their pace and wasn't willing to risk, because obviously you can get the blue. Oh, that was a nice spike suit. Oh my goodness,
clean
right off the rip.
Yeah, Spike Suit is essentially a double frame perfect trick. You have to unmorph and take damage on the same frame, and then 10 frames later, you have to press jump. And then if you do it right, you'll see Samus kind of start floating in the air, turn blue, and then once you spark again, then you know you have it. And we're just going to use that almost right away in this next room.
Oh no!
I didn't mean this room. I mean this room.
All right. Unfortunately, wasted the spikes, won't be able to spark across. Scott got a nice that jump that Razon missed earlier, leaving Mama Turtle. Scott was able to get that nice and clean. And these rooms have been pretty darn clean for Scott, honestly. But we'll have to see. So Razon missing that moonfall right there. But let's see. Will Razon grab this E-Tank right now or on the second pass? Well, that's kind of like some players do it, grab it now, some players grab it later. Razon's grabbing it right now. Oh,
nice
Razon's screen. Yeah, the screen going black is a pause. Gotta turn on that ice and spacer. Some people do it during the spark back. Some people do it during the running through here. So getting hit right here is not good because... Okay. Razon's not going for any soft lock special here today, but yeah, some of the idea is you get that hit as you're going through that door transition to the sand pit, and that'll get you iframes to dodge one of the hits, and then you get to deboost and get a second deboost, allowing you to do the soft lock special strat that Scott actually, I think, soft locked in a previous match. So we'll have to see. Nice moonfall for Razon there in the sand pit. Yeah, so we'll have to see. Yeah, it's dangerous because the alternative is you just kind of go all the way around all the pipes and then you go to the right, which is what Razon did. But if you kind of get your little blue speed echoes, or you get the blue and you make it all the way through, you can unmorph and then hold angle or up at the right timing to just kind of pop through the middle of the pipes. But obviously it comes at a risk. Now, we have to keep our eyes here on Razon, because this is kind of like the big trick of Late Croc. It's the ice clip. You don't have the grapple to go up here, so you gotta freeze the Puyo and basically a perfect position here. That looks good. A little fall.
Yeah, they look good. Yeah, nice.
Okay. All right, that's huge. I don't think Razon was able to get that first try on either the qualifier, which I believe was also his PB. So I think Razon honestly is looking really strong right now.
Yeah, they're playing very, very well, and a nice X Factor from phatscott. Very good spot twoon.
Yeah, dealing with that top pattern very, very, very well. So Scott's playing very strongly at the moment as well. So yeah, we'll have to see. I do think Razon is ahead by a good bit here, and it's obviously not from what we're seeing on the screen because Razon still has to do that croc. But I do think Razon is still a bit ahead of Scott at the moment. Oh no! Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, no, he's fine.
He's fine. He's fine.
I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah,
that could have been bad.
I was screaming because poor Shack Tool. Why would he do this? But yeah, that snail, I totally forgot. That snail can definitely break those sand blocks.
Yeah.
You just have to shoot him beforehand, and he'll crawl forward.
Yeah, I got a little concerned because I think there was a little bit of like it wasn't like exactly how Razon planned to do it.
Yeah, I don't think that was.
So I got a little scared. I got a little scared there. All right, so Razon going ahead
to kill him. How could he do this?
Razon went ahead and back-to-back killed Shack Till. So for any Shack Tool fans out there, I'm sorry. But yeah, Razon clearly has a vendetta against against Shack Tool there. So
yeah, we're gonna see phatscott start up his Dragon here. See how it goes.
Doing the more traditional rain dance here. Razon's was kind of maybe some newer technology. This is kind of like a little bit more traditional. Wall locks right there. Yeah, unfortunately,
yeah,
not the best. I don't think those X Factors really land, but as long as you know Scott can get, yeah, it's not looking too good right here. So it is hundo. You can just kind of launch a bunch of supers and whatnot, but yeah, Scott's gonna have to try to
get some crummy RNG here. I believe the chance of the swoop versus the goop is just like a 50-50, so getting that many in a row is just unlucky.
Exactly, yeah.
Gonna be going for the nice little spike suit here. Might go one more try here. Oh, unfortunate.
Right, so not quite. That's okay. We still got the space jump, and you know, Razon also got the spike suit, but wasn't able to make use of it. So a little bit of a wash once again. If anything, better for Scott in this case because he's not going to be bonking the spark.
Yeah, if anything, phatscott is actually going to save a little bit of time here on Razon due to no bonking the spark.
Exactly.
And especially if they get the Womple jump here, which is a nice little backup. Very nice,
yeah,
very nice.
Good Womple jump. All right, so Razon has been kind of going through. I saw that plasma room earlier was pretty darn clean from Razon. But yeah, is going to go ahead and let's see if they go for this little boot bomber strat. Given that, I mean, I think for race purposes, you don't really want to go for the soft lock special, which, you know, we're gonna have to keep our eyes out here because perhaps Razon goes for it because this is a little bit less risky.
I'm not sure if you can soft lock going up, but you definitely can going down.
Yes. So Razon's not going for it, but Scott is going to be going for this probably. Yeah. No. I think he learned his lesson. He's not going for it. Okay. Perhaps if he doesn't get that correct boost off the start, perhaps he just opts not to go for it. But
that might have been an entry thing. I'm not sure, but
it could be an entry thing. But I would not be shocked if it was also like, okay, I actually soft locked in the tournament. I'm not going to do it again. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. All right.
Just battering that poor snail against the floor.
So nice little moonfall for Razon. The door was not super aligned, so it lost a little bit of time there. But yeah, I mean, so far so good. Everything's looking pretty darn clean.
Yeah, this has been a pretty good Meridia segment from Razon here. Aside from Dragon, I'd say that was probably the only major hiccup.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see phatscott go visit Shack Tool and get their Spring Ball. And Spring Ball allows for a lot of really interesting tech and movement throughout the later rooms. You'll see some really awesome Spring Ball strats throughout the run. I'll try and point them out.
Oh, Razon almost getting that double D boost right there. Saves a good amount of time if you're able to get it, but just barely misses it. K goes through the second one. Oh, that's not the spring ball strat we're looking for. First neat little spring ball strat we're likely going to see actually is in this room coming up for Razon. It's going to be the re-entry to Kraid's Lair. We're probably going to see an angle shot super into a spring ball to get across. Oh, okay, not quite. Yeah, it looks like the controller might have slipped for a second there because the inputs, like I could see the inputs. It was just kind of like clearly on the wrong moments. But so far everything still looking fine. We have Scott grabbing that spring ball, and we have Razon. As you can see, this is one of the kind of things that Razon has to do to make up that one of the reasons why Scott is also a little bit behind, because Razon has to come back to collect this missile. Didn't have the power bombs earlier, so now we're coming back right now to grab it.
Yeah, one thing I'm not sure people really realize is that these door transitions add up. Like having to backtrack through here. I mean, he's not gonna lose like an enormous amount of time, but like just going through those extra door transitions. It's pretty clear why some runners just get the power bombs early, I feel.
All right, so we have Razon is going to be heading over through this Croc Speedway to get over to LN. KPDR runners will be familiar that this is kind of like taking that southern route. A lot of the strats are pretty much the same as well. Oh, that was a clean room.
Yeah,
sometimes
that was
if you shoot,
clean.
yeah, you start shooting. Oh no!
The quick
I gotta go back. Oh no! Okay, gotta scale the wall. That little Silva's in the way, but yep. Okay, space jumping our way up there. Okay, all right, first try. Nothing wrong here.
Scenic route.
Yeah, scenic route. Yeah, this can get pretty like it can get really weird if you mess this room up, because those are all crumble blocks, and it's kind of hard to recover from the game. Yeah, it's kind of hard to recover from that. So, okay, nice little space jump. Let's see if Razon turns this into a spring ball, or okay, just barely misses that last space jump. That's okay. We're gonna land early on this platform here, so we gain the run speed to get through this door. And Razon is going to be the first to head over to LN here. And we have Scott also getting through this Plasma Spark room. And Scott's got to clear out that sand pit, as well as perhaps try the blue bobber spring ball kind of strat to get up to those last things. We'll see if he goes for that one, but here we go. Razon entering LN. We're going to go left and go straight to that GT fight. Nothing gets the blood pumping quite like this LN music.
Well, it's my favorite track in the game. I love the LN music.
Yep.
Especially for KPDR, it's like the last zone in the game, right? So it's like really intense.
Oh, Scott!
Nice.
Oh, clean! Absolutely clean.
Yeah, so that's the blue bomber strat we were talking about. Very nice. It's absolutely faster than sparking because no crash animation.
Okay, so memes, I have to say, like, given that Scott didn't actually have like the entry deboost into that spot, and actually just went ahead and deboosted off of the bugs, that tells me that Scott was like, you know what, screw it, I'm not going for the soft block special. It seems pretty clear, because he could have gone for it, but he clearly chose not to. So I think that kind of answers it, because he set up the deboost as like a backup right there. So there we go, Scott learning from that previous race, and not soft blocking. We have Razon standing on those nice little pixels by GT's feet where he just can't hit you. And he just looks dumb, and he can't do anything. So Razon not quite getting that space jump up there. We'll see if they're going to collect the drops because of that, because you kind of want to like get all the time you can to run to the wall and run to the right. Okay, yeah, so Razon's just going to go straight out the door. No run speed.
Yeah, so now we're going to get one of the cooler items you don't really normally see in Super Metroid speedruns, this screw attack. Very, very helpful. It's going to allow us to basically one-shot most enemies, if not all enemies. And we're going to be able to break through some certain crumble blocks.
Mm-hmm. So Razon not quite getting the didn't get the short charge from the previous room, so it's going to short charge right here. Misses it. Okay, so there's a little bit of a time loss. It's going to have to screw attack through all these blocks as opposed to sparking. And that's the kind of stuff that Scott's going to need if he wants to catch up. So keep in mind, once again, it's not as far away as we would think, because of the fact that Scott has to, Razon still has to do Croc. So I do think Razon is still, I do think Razon is probably still ahead by maybe a minute-ish, but it is hard to tell right now. And obviously there's still a lot of game to play. Yeah,
there's still plenty of game left, but I think I would agree. I think that Razon has just a little bit of a lead here.
Mm-hmm. It was a very strong play early, and Scott did lose a little bit of time earlier in the game, so that's kind of mostly what I'm basing it off of. But there we go. We have Razon space jumping across here. And we have Scott making his way up into the LN entry as well. All right, so Scott not quite getting that entry into the door, but does not take that fall that Razon did. So a little bit of time gained on Scott there onto Razon.
One nice little kind of time save Razon just did is killing all of those key hunters in that previous room there. It reduces the lag immensely when the power bomb goes off, so that is like pretty significant. I think it saves like at least a second. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So Scott with the clean southern round entrance into the Sword Warfare. Now I expect Scott to actually have perform a little bit better in that spot, mainly because Razon is a Phantoon first runner, and these are rooms that are very familiar to those that run KPDR. So that's definitely a plus point for Scott right there. Razon not quite get the Metal Pirate strat that he wanted, but makes short work of them anyway, so it's fine, completely fine. And here's the thing, so right here, Razon space jumped across and won't have any speed entering this room. I think that does come from maybe like a little bit of a lack of experience in like KPDR as well, because I think if you make that sort of if you do make that mistake into the entry, I think the proper way to go about it is to actually run across the assets so you have the jump into the next room. So I think if Scott makes that same error, I believe we're going to see a little bit of a time gain from Scott there as well. Here we go. Razon is approaching this Ridley with primarily beams, doesn't have like a million supers, so yeah, okay.
Yeah, he pretty good fight so far. We want to see a lot of swoops, I think, but whenever he does pogo, that is probably the prime time to use supers. Pretty good, really good fight. That was a really good fight. Very clean.
Yes. So I believe Razon's approach there was to just use beam shots until red, and that would signify that Ridley's at that halfway point, and then 15 supers does the job right there.
We got a little bit hooked up there. We have 12 supers leaving. That's very fair. We'd like to see that.
Oh, absolutely.
I've seen people leave here with 5, so.
Yep, absolutely. Depending on how many supers you use, especially, it can get a little sketchy because, yeah, strats might get kind of weird, and it can get a little dicey if your super count is really low. Oh, Razon not getting that shot in that door. So here we go. We're gonna have to see if Scott's like any percent, because Razon, you run Phantoon first. You're not getting like space jump and stuff here, so it's gonna be a little bit less familiar. We'll see if phatscott25's experience with KPDR is going to be changing anything here.
Oh, unfortunately, he does not get the clip the first try there, but he does get the speedball out of.
Ooh, spicy speedball out. Yeah, that charge looked pretty short to me. So definitely well played.
Yeah, but I think you're right. If there is time to make up, I think it's here. Not exactly the cleanest segment from Razon compared to the earlier parts of the game, but I mean, it's still really well. It's still very good.
Yeah.
Just some hiccups in the later rooms of LN, I'd say.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, both these players are very, very, very strong runners. But you know, some depending on like the categories you run and whatnot. I think both these players, our main category is not a hundo, so it's interesting to see kind of where their strengths show. Let's see if so Razon's not going for any Hodorubi special here. Don't have to do it. It's really cool, but you really don't have to do that strat. If you just run over, break those blocks, that's, you know, it's really not that much slower. So is going to spring roll up here. Break those
Yeah, what
blocks.
really stinks when you go for Hodorubi is you break the first blocks, but not the second ones.
Yeah, it's quite the disappointment. All right, so Razon making the second pass through these rooms and is going to be heading over and yeah, we'll see how they approach like the Bubble Mountain rooms. They're pretty technical, so depending on Razon, you know, you can see that in some parts of the game, Razon has probably decided like I'm not going to put into as much work like doing certain strategies in this one, whether it's like just an economical choice, or if it was just like I don't have the time to do this kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting. These Bubble Mountain, these rooms from this point on, the Bubble Mountain back to the criteria like revisit, are very, very hard. They were clearly not designed for you to have speed and high jump in them. The rooms are like really small and kind of narrow. So yeah, like I feel like this is kind of the mark of like a runner doing this part like really well is a mark of someone that, you know, kind of put a lot of time into hundo. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this goes between the both these players.
Oh, he's not dead.
By Ridley. Okay. That always sucks, getting grabbed by Ridley either from a bad position, therefore not ending the fight, or if Ridley's not dead, not quite dead, and getting grabbed right there. 5 supers from Ridley. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I was gonna say earlier, phatscott, I think made a little bit of the same error Razon did coming out of the Middle Pirates. They didn't really have the momentum, but you saw that phatscott fell down and ran through the acid and had a very nice space jump to go very quickly through the Idor room.
Yes, yes. Okay, so see that there's the thing, and so Scott also gets the space jump through this door. Razon, I believe, missed that shot exiting. So there's kind of like that's kind of one of those things that you can see if you look carefully. You'll see that Scott has a little bit more experience with these kinds of rooms because KPDR is going to be different right here than it is going to be in Phantoon First. So yeah, a little bit of a nice little kind of like advantage that Scott gets in that spot. So here we go. Razon is going to be heading over to Croc. Which Scott has done earlier. And Scott is going to be heading over to Bubble Mountain to do that cleanup. And then we will see both these players sync up basically at that business center point. We'll also have to see if Razon is going to go for the spike suit. I suspect that they won't.
Why is that?
The only reason I suspect that they may not is I do think to make it save the amount of time requires kind of a lot of time. I only think the only reason I suspect that they might not go for it is it really takes a lot of practice to keep that spike suit all the way, but they're going for it. All right, let's see if they get it. And I'm just wondering if they had the time to maybe like practice this segment with the spike suit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if this is not your main category, you're running like Phantoon First. Okay, but it doesn't get the spike suit. I think you have to give it a try. You just got to give it a try.
Yeah.
That's kind of why one of the main reasons why you have to run this category as well, or this route. If you're kind of abandoning this potential time save across X-ray, then obviously, you know, that's the route might not actually be faster in the end. So, but yeah.
Yeah, so what Razon was trying to do there is he was trying to grab Spike Suit, and Spike Suit essentially just lets you store a Shine Spark indefinitely. And we would have tried to keep that all the way through Upper Norfair, and then we would use it to spark across X-ray. But unfortunately, we did not get it. But it is a very, very tough trick to do. It's simply put, it is a double frame perfect trick.
Yeah. Not only that, but if the reason why you have to practice the segment as well is like blowing that spike suit. I mean, you saw Razon blow the spike suit literally one room in after Dragon, right?
Easy to burn the spike suit.
You gotta carry it all the way to X-ray, and it's like, I mean, for me personally, like, you know, I also just started running Hundo, but like it was a miracle that I was able to do it once at all, right? So it's quite difficult.
Basically, any input that would make you spark normally, so like if you're in the air and you break spin and you like press up or something, that would make you break it. If you have no momentum on the ground, like if you're just standing still and you press jump, that would use it. It's very, very tough to keep it.
Yeah, so if you're ever watching some of these top runners carry that spike suit all the way, please appreciate it. It's not easy.
I mean, it's hard enough for me to carry it from Dragon to Coliseum. You want me to carry it from Croc to X-ray?
All right, so as we can see here, phatscott is heading over, is going to be grabbing this missile pack, and we're getting a decently close race here. So yeah, Scott's gonna grab this missile and is gonna be heading over through Croc Speedway, and these players are going to be pretty darn close.
Yeah, this is actually really close.
Yep.
Because they're both gonna be entering Business Center just about the same time.
I think Scott's LN was really darn clean. I mean, based on what I'm seeing,
very good.
It was a back-to-back gold. It was a back-to-back gold. So Razon was significantly ahead early, given Scott's early game mess-ups, but
oh my gosh, this is such I would say officially now
Scott's ahead.
Oh my goodness gracious, this is a great race.
Scott's ahead. Scott making up a lot of time. I mean, it was, you know, we already talked about how close this was, but like, I think this segment, like this late game segment, right? Like, Razon, it wasn't as clean for Razon, whereas Scott's was relatively clean, nailing a bunch of these strats. So like, wow, it's so close.
Yeah, I would say any time that phatscott lost, he absolutely made up in the late game. His LN segment was very clean.
Oh my goodness.
But it is not over yet. I mean, this is probably one of the in the game after X-Ray. Retro Bryn is it is different.
I got it. You know what?
It's very hard.
Here's what I'm saying. Okay, first of all, Razon's like one screen behind, so it's so close. Now, memes, I gotta say something, right? So I've been talking about how phatscott has all this experience. phatscott also ran like GTC, so that LN segment I expected to go in phatscott's favor. However, like I think given that Razon is a new route runner, and Scott is kind of a little bit more well-rounded, if the thing is Hundo, this area right here, this is like all just Hundo territory. It's all Hundo territory. Like GTC, you're not going back to criteria. You're not doing any of these rooms. So this is just a matter of who's going to execute better at this late game stage. This is like a raw Hundo kind of thing, right? So,
oh my goodness.
Absolutely. If Razon has been practicing the segment and Scott has, you know, not put in as much work here, absolutely could turn around right here. So this is going to be cool. This is going to be cool to see what happens. So Scott, missing that entry to that door, you know, this jump up here, if you mess this up, it can be a little bit of time loss. If you
the main thing there is at least keeping the run speed there through that room is very. Yeah, so you'll see there that I believe Razon made up just a little bit of time there.
Yep. Okay, I think Razon making a little bit of time up. Yep, they're in the same room right now. Will Razon get the short charge? Oh, doesn't bring the last block.
Oh no, and then the powerbomb's gonna lag him just a little bit, I believe.
Okay.
And so he's gonna have to lay another powerbomb here.
Now here's the thing. So Razon, I think, likes going for some tougher strats, but like these rooms, like they're so hard. So depending on the strats you go for, okay. So I think Razon was kind of going for a tougher strat, but in the end, it's just you know, bonk that door, so it's gonna go through. God.
He
Wow.
unfortunately laid the power bomb one tile too far. I've seen it happen a lot of times.
Okay.
Oh. So that right there is going to make up that extra power bomb in the earlier room. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so close.
Yeah, Razon's creeping up. Razon's creeping up on Scott. So here we go. I mean, it's still close.
It's very close.
Scott's a fanfare ahead right now.
They're like a fanfare.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so yeah, a fanfare is about 6.5 seconds for those wondering.
Yep. Okay, Scott having a little flub right there. So if Razon can kind of get through this one tile gap cleanly, that's even more time saved. Perfect.
And he gets the moonfall as well, which is a little more. He's catching up, dude.
Oh man. Okay, so Scott doesn't get the speed keep through here, but that's fine. You just roll a little bit slower through. Let's see if Razon goes for anything quite different. Looks like that mock ball is going to work. Okay, so a little bit of time gain, just a little bit here and there. Obviously, there's a ton of time that can change during Turian, but Razon is catching up, just like a second here, a second there, and it's just ever so slightly closing that gap. Oh, Scott, missing the smoke right there.
Put Razon ahead. Just maybe.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know. It's really close.
Okay, so that's just another few seconds right there, Scott.
Oh, but Razon unfortunately have a little bit of trouble trying to break those blocks.
A little bit of trouble, yes, but it's close. It's really close.
It almost exactly a item fanfare.
So Scott really struggled kind of getting up these one tile gaps. Razon is taking a little bit more economically. He's just carefully jump up there. So just another few frames that Razon probably saved right there.
And then coming up, Torian is just really, really hard to do efficiently. And then another thing that could nice short chart. Yeah, that very tight short charge there. Very, very good backup. But Torian is absolutely one of the hardest segments in pretty much every category. It's very hard all the way around. But one thing that might come into play is super count. We do have the exact same supers entering here. So,
Yep. So everything we're seeing right now, you know, like Razon's a little bit behind, but like everything we're seeing right now, you can potentially just throw it out the window in Turian, because like those Metroid rooms are not easy.
They are tough. They are. I would say Torian is probably one of the most grinded segments in the entire game.
Yes.
Like across all categories.
Yes, it's really hard. The inputs that you have to do in Turian are
it's
compared
so
to anything
quick.
else, it's insane. Like how fast you have to select and deselect items, it's on a completely different level than anything else you do in this game, basically. So yeah, this is tight. This is like this is a close match.
We got a race right here.
Yeah, we definitely have a race.
Oh, Razon unfortunately not getting the mock ball there.
Yeah, dropping that
just a little bit of
in the air.
time. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, not the best green pirate chat for Razon, but here we go. phatscott entering G4, and Razon just about 10-ish seconds behind, I believe. So, oh man, I mean, games. This is a spicy race. This is a spicy race.
Ooh.
There's so that's what I was talking about. That end game segment. I think neither of the players are probably super happy with it, but also it's just like those rooms are not something that you do in any other category in that manner. So it would make sense that if you're not playing Hundo as much, that those would be a little bit less. It's kind of just like raw, like how do you get through those rooms when things go wrong? Because they probably will go wrong once you put tons of hours into them, right?
Yeah, that's another thing about this game, especially in a race setting. It's like, oh man, what backup do I do? How do I recover from this? You know,
Exactly, and that just comes with, you know, the player who may have the more of the experience in the game, and it's hard to say who that necessarily is. But here we go, Metroid 1 for phatscott. We have the Metroid rooms. How will phatscott approach this?
Very good, Metroid 1.
KPDR experience. That's KPDR experience right there, because you can do that. Let's see how Razon approaches this Metroid run.
Oh, he's doing this strat. Oh, that strat is so hard. He unfortunately did not keep the speed through that Metroid.
Ooh, okay.
Getting a little bit of a hiccup here. There's going to be some time gain if Razon can get this room really cleanly.
Razon approaching this like PRKD, got through it a little bit more cleanly than phatscott. Has 6
So that was just a
supers.
little bit fast. Oh, phatscott has 3.
Oh,
and
man.
one more. 3, I would say, is the bare minimum.
Yes.
Every single door,
Yep.
without having to use extra.
Oh,
And then here comes this. This could be definitely a decider right here. The baby skip. Hold.
baby skip.
This is.
Hold. phatscott going for traditional. Razon going for Stachio skip. Oh, phatscott gets grabbed.
phatscott gets grabbed. That is. Let's see what Razon does.
Oh, Razon gets grabbed as well. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's still neck and neck. It's still neck and neck.
No.
Yeah, both getting grabbed early. That's really important because, you know, if Razon got like halfway there and got grabbed, that would set him far behind.
Yeah, and you'll see that I think both runners did it. You'll see that they were facing right. That can save some frames there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot left. We still got stand up. Maybe these players will go for the 2 cries strat that's coming up because that's, that's
true.
significant. It's significant.
Yeah, here 2 seconds is everything with how close it is.
I mean, we have to factor in everything. phatscott doesn't have Moonfall for Leodox either. There's a lot of things that are coming into play here. phatscott is not going for the down back Zeb.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
Go for the GT Classic Zeb skip. Let's see what Razon does. That's not a good entry. That's not a good entry.
Yeah,
okay.
That was not a good entry. He's gonna. I think that this is a backup. I think he wanted to do the down back, but unfortunately. All right.
Okay,
Very good still.
All right. So we have Scott entering the Mother Brain 2 fight first. Every second here counts. They're so close.
Yeah, every shot here missed is gonna matter. We want to see as many shots hit as possible.
Mother Brain RNG catch up at the wrong time. That stuff all matters too. Steam at the end of the game. There's a lot of things that can change the tide of the match right now.
Yeah, and you saw phatscott damaging down earlier. Very clean Mother Brain 2 from phatscott, but he's gonna be taking damage there, so he can set up for the stand-up glitch here.
All right, so Scott getting through that Mother Brain 2 fight. Oh, Razon, I think, got an unopportune catch-up. So
yeah,
lost a little bit of time there.
Yeah, that was not a good catch-up.
So Scott not going for the 2 cries method, doing the more traditional, just space jump in the corner and drop on purple. That will allow for a better... Okay. And it looks like Razon is also opting to do the same thing.
Yeah, so these runners are just choosing to space jump the entire time here. Once Samus sprite change, you can actually stop, so they don't have to... If they drop the jump, it's not that important. You just have to be in the air when your sprite changes, when the Metroid attaches, and then also detaches. But this is going to be another time save, potentially. How good, or how optimally they charge and shoot these shots.
Yep. Oh, yeah, so Scott missing a few shots here. Scott should have a little bit more experience with this stuff due to having run GT Classic. Probably more familiar with the escape with this sort of loadout. But it is very, very similar either way. So there's a lot that can happen here.
But yeah, some things in escape. If either one of them chooses to do the blue bomber strat, and then Moonfall is going to come into play just a little bit, just like a second or two. Oh, getting a little scam there. That was 5 shots. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of trouble. Scott did miss some shots on the MB too.
Let's see how many shots Razon gets here on Mother Brain 3.
Here we go. Scott entering the escape first.
Oh, both runners getting 5 shots.
Remember, Razon does have that Moonfall. Scott will not be able to fall quicker in that Leodox room. Here we go. This is Scott's race to lose at this point.
All right, Scott doing the reliable spark. And we're just going to be wall jumping all the way up here. Yep. That was a very, very clean room so far.
Utilizing that that screw attack, not traditional to any percent, to kill that pirate at the top instead of having to do some sort of angle shot there. Oh, Scott, not getting that spin jump there. Now has to make the spark. I think that was a standing spark. Oh, Razon falling in the Leodox room. Oh, having some trouble in the Leodox room. And Scott
with a very clean parlor, and he is going to be coming out here.
Flying through the parlor. Wow. Very, very well played from Scott, and he's going to make it all the way to the ship, it looks like. And there we go.
It is.
GG
to Fat Scott. He has finished with an official racetime.gg time of 1:21:12, and that is an insanely close race. That was a very, very good race.
What a crazy match. So we have Razon coming in here to finish up and is going to finish as the runner-up in second place with an official racetime.gg time of 1:21 and 40 seconds. Get your GGs out for Razon as well.
And GG to both the runners. Well played. Both played insanely well.
What a race. What a race. And wow, it really did kind of come down to Baby Skip because Razon,
absolutely. If Razon got Baby Skip, he would have absolutely been ahead there.
Yeah, I mean it would have been really close, but like that you know, it's crazy how close it was at the end. And Scott, I think just with like that experience, KPDR GTC kind of kicking into overdrive at that late game, really turning the tide around, to turn the race around in the end. And
I agree.
Wow, man, what a crazy match. What a crazy match. I think that just like it was a really good showcase on seeing the opponent's strengths, right? Like seeing the differences. Razon with the incredible early game and really kind of leaving Scott in the dust in that early game. Scott having some mistakes, not getting the reverse mock ball. Razon's clean movement early on, just putting Razon like really far ahead. But Scott with kind of like that late game experience of the various categories, really kind of showing in every second. 30-second difference, right? I mean, like Baby Skip, Murray, and something like that. It's just like, it's crazy how everything adds up, and that's kind of the culmination of all that is the result of today's match. It's really, really cool to see the difference. Seeing these two runners run completely different routes and it being this close, that's really cool. I think that's really cool.
And we'll see about getting our amazing runners here in for an interview, hopefully here pretty soon. But yeah, that late game from phatscott was absolutely the time saver there for him. I believe it was very clean movement. He nailed a lot of strats, and if he had any hiccups, he had very clean backups. Just like you said, due to that KPDR experience.
Yes, it's interesting, right? Like, when it kind of comes down to what happens at the end of the game, like, you know, PRKD obviously being the faster route for any percent, but, you know, when it comes to a hundo tournament, when you have the experience, like, you know, doing space jump strats in certain rooms and how it crosses over, running GTC gives you a lot of experience for the LN stuff. You know, I personally also, I'm primarily a Phantoon first runner, so I did run some GTC, and I realized like how much that sort of experience helped me in my hundo, because a lot of that muscle memory kind of came back. But it's like, it's fascinating how a lot of these runs, depending on the loadouts that you have, it just very much changes these strats, and you really have to sort of get used to it or adapt on the fly at the very least. And that's kind of what we saw here today. So just here to verify that we got this hundo.
Hundo from Scott.
Yeah, let's see. Joining us in the commentary booth is Scott, but first we're gonna have to verify the victory. Scott with 100%.
100%. Scott, GG,
GG, Scott.
That run was not very good.
We were talking about the early game, and you probably weren't happy about the early game. But the late game, I think you got the back-to-back golds in LN. So you definitely finished really strong, and I think that's what kind of gave you the win today here.
Well, I was sort of I like Lower Northborough was pretty good. It didn't even feel that good, honestly. It was just like I just defaulted back to GT Classic muscle memory for the most part, and it worked out.
Yeah.
Because that's like I was running that category for I don't know how long, so my late game's really strong. But the run was at Fantoon, I was -11, so even though the early game was really bad, I like in my PB I lost like 25 something seconds on Red Tower because I fell down like 4 times or something like that. Yeah, so that segment was like really good. It was like 3 seconds off a gold or something. It was pretty good. But Fantoon was all right. That was really stupid 4-round, but whatever. And then after that, Enter Meridia was, which is like my Green Brand revisit split, went like completely disastrous again, but it was okay. And Dragon was my Meridia segment. I would have saved 20 seconds on, and then I screwed up really bad in Dragon. But I had it really good, and then I just messed up like the approach for the spark and the X Factor, and then after that, Dragon was mean to me, and I just kind of screwed up.
I think you got wall locked for a second there because you kind of hit that wall and you got stuck there for like a second, and that messes everything up. It gets tough to get that spark. It's always tough to work. That's the crappy thing about Dragon too. Like it's tough to recover when like it doesn't go right in the beginning because like it's pretty much scripted until it's not. When it's not, it's like just like, are you gonna swoop or are you have to play that guessing game? Are you gonna swoop? Are you gonna goop me? Like what are you gonna do?
Yeah, when you don't get the opener, it's like, all right, here we go, dude. it can be rough.
I'm sure, like, also, I remember the Kraid stand-up, I'm sure you weren't happy about, but Kraid did open his mouth, like, really fast.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that was a little bit of a relief, at least, because it wasn't too much of a time loss, given that happened.
I started shuffling around for some reason. Like normally, the way I center myself, I don't know. I have problems with the 1 missile 3 super thing still. So I just usually do 4 supers and charge shot, but the spot I normally use is fine, but I shuffled around on accident and it completely threw me off and I just shot the supers too late. But normally I wouldn't miss that, so. And then baby skip was annoying. I think that's the first time I missed baby skip in like any run I've done in like I want to say like at least 2 months. I don't know. I've been very consistent, so it was annoying that I messed that up, but it's fine.
Yeah, Razon actually messed up the baby skip as well, so it was getting kind of crazy at the end, seeing all that happen, because they're like, oh my gosh, is Razon gonna get out of here? And then we were pretty surprised. But yeah, joining with us in the commentary booth as well is Razon, our runner-up for this match. GG, Razon.
GG's. Howdy, everyone.
GG.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Were either of you watching this match while it was being played, keeping tabs on it? Because like it was interesting because at first we thought Razon, like especially Razon's early game was really strong. Yeah. So we were like, oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, continue.
I was gonna say, entering Meridia, I figured I was ahead because it was easily the best early game I've ever had. And so I didn't even bother looking over until after my Meridia was just a complete mess, and I'm like, okay, it's either even now or I'm behind, and I couldn't tell. I couldn't do the math on the early croc, late croc stuff. But by the time we got to X-ray, it seemed pretty even. He was like a few seconds ahead.
Yeah, it was. Really,
it was when you were both when it synced up when you both got to Business Center. Like he was just on the elevator, like when you were already in the room, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about this, but Razon, you're an active PRKD runner, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so have you run any other categories other than PRKD?
Nope. When the tournament got announced, I decided to learn Honda.
Okay, yeah. So that was interesting. We were kind of looking at both of your times, and I was kind of thinking that this might happen. Where I thought the early game, given that you have a lot of PRKD, you're strong in PRKD, we were thinking that you would get pretty far ahead at that point. But Scott obviously is kind of the other vein. He's got a lot of experience like running some other categories, GTC as well, so that gives him that experience in the late game. So it was really cool seeing the two of you, like where your strengths kind of like showed up. So obviously you got really that far ahead in that early game, and Scott, obviously with the experience from GTC, was able to catch up a little bit there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was really cool.
Well, one thing about the early game in this run especially is like that it was a really bad early game for me. I felt like part of like doing early PBs for me is because I was running GT Classic for so long. I feel like that segment is usually pretty good for me.
Yeah.
And I was only +8 at Alpha Power Bonds, which isn't bad. I had like the early game wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't until Create that I was like, after I got the Create E-Tank, I was +23, which is really bad for me. When the last run before this one, I think it was like -10 there or something. So it's kind of unfortunate that happened, but that is cool to see. Like, I definitely feel like my late game is pretty strong for the most part. That felt like a really good Lower Norfair, even though it wasn't I still felt like there was room for improvement for me personally, but it's because I feel like I still have to catch up to some of my GT Classic stuff there, but it was pretty good for me. There was just a few little things that I messed up, and really was all right. But other than that, yeah, I felt pretty good about Lower Norfair.
Yeah, I think some of the fascinating things watching is there were certain moments like, because obviously Scott, you also run KPDR as well, right? So you have GTC KPDR, so a lot of the Lower Norfair with Space Jump is probably a little bit more familiar for you than because Razon is a PRKD runner, right? So we don't have Space Jump in those situations.
Oh yeah.
It was interesting to see like certain things like I think Razon didn't have the speed leading Metal Pirates. And then the way that you backed it up, because you didn't get it either, the way that you backed it up is you ran through the lava acid, so you get to jump into the next room. But I think Razon kind of just space jumped.
I didn't know what to do.
yeah, exactly. So we were saying like, what are some small moments that like, oh, Scott has some experience here that Razon's a little bit less familiar with.
I think this run, my late game was a good advertisement for like no reset segment practice, because there's a lot of like rooms where when they went wrong, I just kind of shrugged my arms and just like barreled through and lost like 10 seconds or whatever. And if I would have just like thought about it in practice, I think I could have had better backups and whatnot.
Yeah. I think the funny thing also is that I think this Hundo tournament kind of brought us all into Hundo. I think I assume most of us are not primarily Hundo runners. I don't know if you would say that's true for you, Scott, as well.
Hundo is my favorite category, but
it is okay.
Yeah, but I don't think it's been a while. Like the last Hundo runs before this tournament was over a year ago now.
Yes.
So because I was so busy running GT Classic trying to get a 34 before this. And I finally got that, like, I think, like, near the beginning of June, I finally started picking up Hundo again. So it's been, like, some of it's still been, like, me trying to get rust off or just, like, trying to get back the consistency I used to have, which definitely with this run, I felt like I could have been playing a lot more consistently than I was. But other than that, I'm also not entirely upset about it. Besides missing Baby Skip, I was only +16 at G4, which is pretty good, I think. So I felt pretty good despite that.
I think the fascinating thing also is because once you two were like lined up at X-Ray, the funny thing is that segment from like X-Ray to G4 at that point is like kind of unique to Hundo because you're not really entering criteria. So it's funny because even if you have the GTC experience, you got the KPDR experience. That's so unique to Hundo, and those rooms are all so hard.
I spent a lot of time practicing those when I was running Hundo a lot more, and I had picked it up. I've done some practice on the segment since then. Most of that I was just kind of like I had that really good Lower Norfair, and then I just kind of messed up a few things, but I wasn't entirely upset about how that went. The only thing that really annoyed me was bonking the spark out into. I hate that.
Yeah, Razon I think passed you because of that. It was that close.
Wait,
really?
What? Where? Bonking the spark? Where?
Pit room. So you know how you charge the spark? Scott actually bonked the spark in the elevator room, and then I think that's exactly where you passed Scott up.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was crazy how like close it was right there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, going through Retro Brand, you guys were like an item fan favorite part.
You guys both grabbed. So I think Scott, you grabbed the first the exposed Billy Mays missile first or second, right? So you guys like both grab. Razon still had to grab the bottom left one, but both of you were grabbing the same in the middle of the exact same moment. It was really funny to watch. Actually, it was really cool. We're getting all hyped because of how close this race was.
Oh my god. That's awesome. I guess it's a good thing we both built Baby Skip then. It made for a good race, I guess.
Yeah. My my baby skip mistake I'm really upset about, because I tried to unmorph with A, like his pair TRKD, and I reacted too late.
Oh no!
So when I morphed with A, I did the stutter too late, and I just got grabbed immediately.
That
And I was just
makes
like,
a lot of sense.
if I would have I would have remembered to unmorph with A if I would have just practiced Turian like 1 or 2 more times before the match. But that's okay. I might have missed it anyway. You never know.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, Razon, I have to say, like, I'm also a runner that primarily ran any percent and also ran Pantune first, so I can see like a lot of the things that you were doing. It's like when I was like first learning like a new category and stuff like that. It's very similar.
Right. You just try to integrate
I got the early
stuff.
game, but I can't like do anything else.
Right.
I'm a little less confused. I'm a little more confused with certain like situations.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see like this matchup, 2 completely different routes basically converging and then being like so equal.
And being
it was really cool to watch, I think.
I would say that was the real treat of the run, is seeing both routes and then that they converge, and it was really close.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Were you guys doing the math the whole time on like, I think this person's like, when did you realize we were close? Was it like at X-Ray, or was it like a couple minutes before that?
I would say when I kind of realized that, oh my gosh, this is an insanely close race, was when Scott was picking up the Bubble Mountain missiles in the bottom right. That's when I was like, oh man. Wait,
yeah. And you're like, finishing the stock stuff. We're like, oh my gosh, like this is really close.
Oh my god! Wow. I was upset about that ball power. God damn it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I love close races. I think close races are cool. In one of the qualifiers, I finished within like 4 seconds of Merrick in one of the qualifiers. That was fun. It's fun to look over and have it be close. So I'm glad.
Yeah, that's cool. I like having close races like this too. I wasn't able to really tune in. I don't have like 2 monitors or anything, so I can't really tune in at the same time as play. But that's really cool that it was that close. Honestly, I think if I was watching, it probably would have stressed me out. I would have played worse.
I almost lost 40 seconds to Shaq Tool because I do kill Shaq Tool strats now, and I thought I didn't get the snail to come towards me, and I had this moment of like very serene acceptance where I'm like, okay, this is how it ends. That's okay. and then the snail, and then like I was very at peace with it, and then the snail came, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm still in it. And,
okay, I'm not gonna lie. Memes can attest to this. I definitely like screamed in everyone's ear when that happened. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then the snail came. We're like, "Oh, okay." It was...
I didn't think the snail was coming. It fell off.
This was planned. We were freaking out for like a second until we saw the snail come.
Yeah, that's not how I practiced that kill Shaq Tool strat. It's definitely not how, but it worked out.
But yeah, so Razon, unfortunately, this was the lower bracket, so you are out of the tournament, but this was a really good final match. You got any thoughts on the run and just kind of your tournament experience overall? Because honestly, you put up a great showing here. It was really fun to watch this race.
Well, thank you. The tournament was awesome. I've really enjoyed watching it. I'm really glad I decided to learn the category for the tournament. I'm probably done with it for now. Get my 42 and then think about coming back. But yeah, cool category. I like it. GG's to Scott. Thanks for comms. Thanks for everyone watching. That's all from me.
Yep, and Scott, you are going to be moving on into round 3 of the lower bracket.
Yeah, Scott, who are you playing next?
Wait, who am I playing next? Is it Eddie?
It's nobody. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
yeah, I had to get the front row seat because I was gonna play one of you too. So I was like, yeah,
getting data.
Yeah, gotta get that data. I had to download all the
the download complete.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like right now I can either swing between like this kind of run where I get like a low 121, or I feel like I'm one of these races. I'm either gonna get a high 121 or mid 121, or I'm gonna get like a 118 or something. So we'll see what happens.
Ooh, that'll be spicy. That'd be a good one. I mean, if that's anything like today's match, then we're gonna be very close to each other. That'd be really cool.
We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do we have any? You guys have anything else you want to say? Any final thoughts? Anything else?
Definitely GG. This is a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun with the tourney so far. last race for me was pretty unfortunate. So I'm glad I had a fairly solid run for the most part this time. I was not expecting to win this one either. So I when I tabbed over, I was like, he's probably already done. And then I looked and was like,
Yeah, GG's again. I'm gonna file my appeal to get a minute shaved off for killing Shaq Tool twice. If this result stands though, and I'm sure it won't. Great games. That was a lot of fun, and good luck in your guys' match next round.
GG.
All right. So,
Yeah.
Beams, any last words before I take us out here?
Just thank you so much to Speedgaming for hosting. Thank you to the runners for putting on a great show, keeping it real close for the viewers. I appreciate it. But exclamation point R for the runners and exclamation point C for the commentators. Yeah, give everybody a follow.
All right, and that does it for us here at Speed Gaming. But yeah, Memes, thanks for joining me on comms. Really appreciate it. Razon,
Thank you,
phatscott.
Eddie.
Oh, absolutely. Razon and phatscott, thank you for putting on such a great show. It's a shame that one of you has to go on this one, but honestly, this was a great match to watch. Really showcased, multiple skill sets, 2 different routes converging at the end, and it kind of comes down at the end to Turian. It was such a good one to watch. I'm gonna watch it back later myself. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. This has been awesome, and from all of us at Speed Gaming, we will see you next mission.